All right, wrapping up our lesson here, we're talking about um, we want to be able to solve and graph inequalities, and of course these look pretty similar to the ones up above, but you're going to see a difference. So when I do this problem right here, if I try to isolate the radical symbol, not the radical, the absolute value, I'm going to have to subtract 5 from both sides here. And so that's going to give me 2 minus 5. 2 minus 5 is negative 3. So if I do the absolute value of 4x minus 3 is greater than negative 3, we can take a look at what that graph looks like. Again, I just do the y1 for the absolute value portion of it, so 4x minus 3. And negative 3 for the y2. Once we get the absolute value isolated, whatever number you end up with is going to go into y2. Love y1 and y2, because you can look at the graph and you can see what's going on. Now, if you look at the graph, it looks like, well, hey, they don't intersect. So you might think, oh, there's no solution to it. But the inequality says this is greater than. Okay, so remember, greater than means above. So, look at the absolute value graph. All that's above the flat line of negative 3. So if I'm putting a solution out there, if you look at your table, second graph, every value of x gives me a y value that is higher than this negative 3 over here. So technically, any number works. So how does that work? What do I write? I don't know what numbers to put, but basically all of it. The whole number line is my solution. So the whole graph is above the line. So since it's above the line, and this is a greater than symbol, then we can say, well, every number works. And when every number works, the answer, of course, is all real numbers. X equals all real numbers. That's your solution to this inequality. It's kind of weird to say every number, but that's exactly what's going on. Now, if we look at the second part of it, look at the direction. I'm having some focus. There we go. So look at the direction. It's the same problem, same math. You're still going to subtract 5 from both sides. And you have the absolute value 4x minus 3 less than negative 3. Well, the difference is this is this is less than. So none of that graph's below the line. If I look at my absolute value and 3, none of graph is under the line. And that's what that would mean. Less than would be under. So there is no solution. So you got to be careful with that. If it's greater than, it's all real numbers. If it's less than, it's no solution. It's one or the other, but it's definitely not both. Okay, finally, we're going to set up an absolute value inequality, kind of an application problem, and you're going to have more examples of this later. But the way that these ones work, these are problems where we're trying to find an absolute value, kind of like a true value. So look at the problem. I'll try to make sense of it here. The temperature of a refrigerator is at least 35 degrees Fahrenheit and at most 41 degrees Fahrenheit. Write an absolute value inequality for the temperature of the refrigerator. So first of all, this is the minimum. This is the maximum. So what we first want to do is we want to find that true temperature, okay? What's the ideal or true temperature? Well, we can get that by finding the exact middle, okay? We can get the average of these two. Sometimes they're going to give it to you in the problem, but in this case, we have the min and the max. So what we want to do is we want to do the min, we want to add the max, and then we want to divide that number by 2. So this is going to be 35 plus 41, which is going to be 76. And that's going to be 76 divided by 2 is 38, I believe. And how do we know, well, 38 is actually the average? Well, let's see, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, and 41. Look at the min, the max. Look at where 38 is. It's exactly in the middle, okay? Now, what do I do with that? Well, I write an inequality, okay? I want to know how much wiggle room do I have? You know, I can go how many above and how many below and still be within that comfortable range, right? Well, I can go 3 and 3 below. So I'm 3 units apart from 41 or 35. So the numbers that I'm going to focus on are 38 and 3, okay? That absolute value inequality would look something like this. It's going to say absolute value of x minus, and I'm going to say 38. And that number has to be no greater than 3. So I'm going to say less than or equal to 3. What that looks like in the graph, I'm not going to have you draw the graph on paper, but let's take a look at what's going on, okay? So if I say absolute value of x minus 38, and you're going to need to zoom out for this one. Actually, let's not even worry about the graph. Let's look at the table. So the absolute value of x minus 38 and 3. Look at table. Second graph. If I scroll, and it's going to take me a minute to scroll down. If I scroll down, look at the y value. We want to get that to be a number less than or equal to 3. So that's counting down 13, 11, 10, 9, 8. All right, so at 35, that y value is equal to 3. It's the same thing. At 36, that y value is 2. It's less than or equal to 3. 37, that y value is 1, less than or equal to 3. 38, 39, it's going back up to 1. 40, it's going up to 2. 41, it's 3. And at 42, it's above it. So that nice sweet spot, you know, at 38 is giving you exactly 0. That's good. That's the middle. That's the average number. That's no distance from the middle. However, we don't need to go any more than 3 above or 3 below. And so it spans from 35 to 41. Okay, so 35, 41, anything between there is good. Okay, of course, 38 is that number you want right there. Okay, that's right in the middle. This number is called your I just lost it. That number would be your the extreme value. You can go either above or below it, but this is going to be your answer. Okay, it's always going to be less than or less. It's never going to be more. It's going to be less than or equal to that number. And the name just slipped me. This 3, that's called your tolerance. That's how much above or below the 38 or whatever number you have to get to the min or the max, okay? So 41 minus 38 is 3, or you know, 35 and 38 are 3 units apart as well. So that's your tolerance. All right, so you're going to have some examples like that. Thanks for watching, and now you'll be able to do the day 4 assignment.